Okay, since sexy daddy Pedro Pascal is going to be playing Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, I think it's the best time to capitalize on my favorite superhero team. I'm serious, we all know he's hot, right? My girlfriend and mom swoon over him. Even the teacher at the boarding school I was abused at thinks he's hot. Sorry, not sorry, Miss. Also, Angry Italian Man is going to be the thing, which is like the best casting for this movie so far.
Any of you incel, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now?
So, the Fantastic Four. Most normies either think they're the most boring part of the Marvel Universe, or they pretend they've loved them the entire time, even though they can't name a single storyline. And they'll just say something like, yeah, I think they're really cool and fresh, and exactly what the MCU needs, cause they're not woke. See, look, she's in the kitchen. I'm just gonna be upfront with y'all. The Fantastic Four rock. And honestly, I think they represent the antithesis of the problems people have with superhero media. Before I explain that, though, I'm gonna explain why they're, fantastic. You see what I did there? I'm a little jokester, and I just... I'm sorry, I'm out of it. My friend called them the Midtastic Four, and I've never been the same since. The Fantastic Four was Marvel's first family. It was actually Marvel's answer to the Justice League of America. That's right, those lame-ass Avengers were just heroes that couldn't sell any comics by themselves. These guys shook the comic book industry when they came out. They're the reason Marvel even got a chance to rival DC, since before this, they basically only had Captain America, and it was the 60s, so everyone hated America at the time, even though everybody still hates America, but Captain America basically denounced the US government before I was even born. Like, he fought for Vietnam, guys. Jesus, I'm so autistic. Anyways, the Fantastic Four were revolutionary because they were the first depictions of superheroes that are relatable and have shitty lives. DC superheroes' problems at the time would be stuff like, oh no, Superman now has the power to shoot rainbows out of his hands, or oh no, Batman was turned into a zebra. While over at Marvel, the thing was dealing with the existential fact that no one will ever treat him as a normal person ever again. And even if they treat him good, they'll never see him as just a person. He'll also probably never have sex again because, he has a rock penis. Unless you're reading one of those special comics, he's living it up in Rule 34. To solve this, he takes advantage of a blind woman. All of the Fantastic Four have problems. Reed Richards ignores his wife too much, so she cheats on him with a fish man.
And wetness is the essence of beauty.
I would say this is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's best work. Jack Kirby's psychedelic madness is always amazing in these books. The contrast of them not being able to pay rent for their headquarters to fighting a giant purple man that's gonna eat the planet, and they beat him by a bald guy sending Human Torch back to the past to get a device that can kill everyone ever forever. The Fantastic Four basically invented the standard of superheroes not being these emotionless gold standards of perfect people that can't do or say anything wrong. Basically destroyed superhero media from only being power fantasies for little kids. They earned the title of world's greatest comic magazine. Without the Fantastic Four, we wouldn't have Spider-Man having a shitty life, or Daredevil having self-destructive tendencies, or Iron Man being an alcoholic. And that kind of brings me to the main point of this video. The Fantastic Four are not superheroes. I did just say that they are my favorite superhero team, but that's not how I personally would describe them. The Fantastic Four comics are fantastic because they aren't heroes. They're just a family. I want to go over one of my favorite comic issues ever made. The first issue of Fantastic Four by Mark Waid. This issue perfectly represents the Fantastic Four. There's a guy who represents a company that's making licensed merchandise of the Fantastic Four. So he's there to see what they're about. While he's with them, studying their daily life, like them going to another dimension to get a specific datavore element, I don't know what the hell that is, to make a renewable fuel resource while fighting multiple bugs and creatures. That's just a normal Sunday drive for them. I lived in Florida, where it's basically the same thing. Like, it sucks, bro. When they come back from the trip, Reed gives his son a micro atom as a little souvenir, it's very normal. The family is skeptical of why Reed has this guy there researching them for marketing, because they're already pretty minted at the moment. As the guy stays with them more, he realizes they aren't really superheroes. They never go on patrol to fight bad guys, they don't go out of their way to fight bad guys. Sure, if Galactus or Doctor Doom wants to like destroy the world, they'll come to stop them, but usually they're just explorers. All of them have normal lives for the most part. Reed does take the family on adventures to alternate dimensions or the microverse or the negative zone to further scientific research, but he does it for the betterment of mankind and advancement. He does this because he's the smartest man alive, not because he wants to fight bad guys, because he usually doesn't. At the end of the comic, Reed tells a bedtime story to his daughter. He starts by telling her the FF's origin story, saying he was a brilliant man who wanted to see the unknown. But he pauses and then tells her the true story, how he was an arrogant man who took his friends on a journey that destroyed their lives because he didn't care to take the proper precautions, turning them into something inhuman and what most would consider freaks. He realized the only way to rectify this would to make them celebrities, into superheroes, to show the world that they were good people to be admired. This was a necessity, so they wouldn't be classified as monsters. He needed to name himself something as ridiculous as Mr. Fantastic to get the public on their side. That's why he has the marketing guy there. It's essential for them to have shit like action figures or t-shirts so people would continue to treat them as people to be admired, because in his heart, he knows that his family are people to be admired. Why is this so important to superhero media? Because I'm sick and tired of people saying shit like superheroes are boring because it's the same shit over and over and it's too simple for my galaxy-sized brain, and superhero stories aren't capable of actually being good stories. I'm sick of it, alright? I'm sick of it. I hate when people say there's no such thing as a good or bad person. What the actual fuck are you talking about? Grapists and Nazis exist. On the other side, you got people who cure diseases or people who help others with mental illnesses and get people from killing themselves. Now, I would say when it comes to the average person, it's very gray and it isn't black and white. But when people say superhero stories have black and white morals, they have no idea what they're talking about. Take this one conversation I had with my cousin once. I told him about a comic where Wolverine has to kill a mutant because that person's power is just to kill people. Like everyone in his vicinity just dies. Wolverine has to kill this kid so people don't find out he was a mutant. Because if people found out that a mutant could just kill people by standing next to them, they would just hate mutants. Like, it's pretty hard to come back from that. It's a very morally ambiguous story because, yeah, this has to happen for the betterment of mutants everywhere, but, like, the kid can't help it, you know? He wanted a future. He had a girlfriend. He had a normal life. He was a good person. And he had no control over it. And then people just died. My cousin then said, well, Charles Xavier has the moral obligation to kill that guy because that's what you do as a superhero. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. First of all, the X-Men don't kill people outright. That's like a last resort kind of thing. The point of the X-Men is to show humans and mutants a better way, not to execute people who disagree with them. People's perceptions of superheroes are so dumb sometimes. Not all superheroes are good people all the time. Moon Knight has cut off someone's face while they were still alive. Spider-Man accidentally killed Wolverine's ex-girlfriend because she startled him and he hit her too hard. Iron Man made the entirety of San Francisco drug addicts for money. He gave Daredevil's sight back and then he took it back, which is honestly hilarious, not gonna lie. Ant-Man hit his wife, and not in a kinky way, like in an abusive way. And don't even get me started on Wolverine. Even look at Daddy Pedro Pascal Reed Richards. He made a Thor cyborg that accidentally killed another superhero during Civil War, and he was black. That's a hate crime. Also, supervillains aren't always bad either. Doctor Doom became Iron Man. Dr. Octopus became Spider-Man. Shocker's just a guy trying to make ends meet. Rhino can only be a supervillain because he can't get out of his super suit. He's stuck in it, and he doesn't even like crime eventually. There's more moral ambiguity to these narratives than people give them credit for. The Fantastic Four reminds me of sci-fi shows like Doctor Who or Star Trek. Moon Knight reminds me of shit like Dexter. Batman reminds me of Sherlock Holmes. All of those stories have characters that are inherently good or bad, if you simplify it with this perception of superhero media. When you really look at it, they're fundamentally the same. I love these characters, and they deserve the limelight that they have, and it's so stupid to hate them just because they wear costumes. I'm looking at you, Garth Ennis.
The original Boys comic was like it was written by an edgy teen that thought adding the most amount of graphic violence, swearing, sex, and racial slurs would make his story stand out. Yeah, he's Superman, but he eats babies.
Écoute mon cœur,